Gentlewoman from New York, Ms. Maloney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Chairman, you have repeatedly claimed on television and other places that this is, and to quote your words, one of the biggest security breaches in the history of the State Department, end quote. Now, this claim is completely false, outlandish, and frankly, really unsubstantiated in any way, shape, or form. The FBI director has been on record and has said already and concluded, and I am quoting from the FBI director, "We did not find evidence confirming that Clinton's email server system were compromised by cyber means," end quote. Now, the FBI is an independent agency, apolitical, nonpartisan, whose purpose is to find the truth, protect the American people, and protect our system of government. And they found that this was totally unfounded and outlandish and untrue. So what are we doing? The only person that is being hurt by this is Hillary Rodham Clinton. The FBI has already said there's no case there. There was no harm there. But in contrast, the official State Department system was hacked in 2015 by a reported Russian hacker, and it apparently was a terrible cyber intrusion against a federal agency and against our country. So I would like to put this in perspective about what we're really talking about. And some members of this committee may not remember that in the 1990s, this is exactly what the Republican leadership did under former Chairman Dan Burton, who was chairman of this committee. They falsely accused, undisputedly, historically, they falsely accused the Clinton White House of intentionally destroying emails to hide them. And they launched hearings, massive investigations, and their claims turned out to be completely false, completely unsubstantiated, just like these claims that they're putting forward now are unsubstantiated. And then, back then, just like today, they wildly exaggerated their claims. And I want to read from the actual report that this committee put out under former Republican Chairman Dan Burton in October of 2000, and where they actually claimed that the fake scandal was bigger than Watergate. And may I quote from their report? "The email matter can fairly be called the most significant obstruction of congressional investigation in United States history. While the White House obstruction and Watergate related only to the Watergate break-in, the potential obstruction of justice by the Clinton White House reaches much further." Well, this was preposterous. And I read last night a report, and I asked unanimous consent to place it in the record by the Democratic minority at that time, called "Unsubstantiated Allegations of Wrongdoing Involving the Clinton Administration." So I feel, may we put this in the record?
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. And I urge everyone to read it. And what we have today is another deja vu, a repeat of the same false allegations. And I would venture to say that they are political, totally politically motivated. Our independent FBI said there isn't a problem here. They are trying to create one with false allegations. And here we are again, and the same Republican hysteria is now being thrown at another Clinton, the same unsubstantiated allegations, the same completely exaggerated false claims. And I urge the listening public to read the report of the FBI on the current emails and to read the report on the prior hysterical hearings that proved to have no basis to truth and reality. My time has expired.
Gentlewoman's time has expired. I would like everybody to read the FBI report. Unfortunately, it has not been released in its totality. We'll now recognize the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Meadows.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your recognition. I would just like to ask the gentlewoman from New York to remind her of the rules that we have.
Members are advised to not address other members. They can address the chair, but they cannot address others.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would make a point of order. The debate here is getting to bring in personalities. We have rules in this committee where attacking members, either their motives or anything else, is not to be done. And so I would kindly ask the chair to remind members that if they're going to make personal attacks, that they need to keep those in a generic and non-specific form. I yield back.
Before the gentleman yields back.
Point of personal privilege, since my name was mentioned. Mr. Chairman, may I clarify?
No, not yet.
I was talking about claims, not a member.
I said no.
Claims.
No. Okay. What the gentleman has yielded to me. Members are advised, and I'll read from what the parliamentarian gave me. Members are advised they must observe the House's standards of decorum and debate and conduct. They must speak and act respectfully, and they may not use disorderly words or unparliamentary language, such as words impugning the motives of other colleagues, end quote. So my point here is you can be disgusted by it. You can be frustrated by it. There is a seminal question. I don't think it's a partisan question. When there is a duly issued subpoena, that person must appear. It is not an optional exercise. It's not, hey, I want to dial it in by sending a letter from my attorney. That, no matter which side of the aisle you're on, if you believe in the rule of law, if you believe in the morality of our Constitution, it requires people to obey that law. Now, non-attendance is not an option, and I feel very strongly about that. Mr. Cummings talked about in his statement about secret this and secret that. I believe it should be as open and transparent. I don't think it should be done behind closed doors. I do think it should be open and transparent. That's the way, in large part, the judicial branch operates, and I think it's the way this committee should operate. To the maximum extent possible, I'd like it to be as open and transparent as possible. I think we issued we issued a subpoena in the right way, and it is not an optional exercise. And that is the question today, because twice, I mean, I was very generous. Twice we gave him an opportunity to show up. And I wish we weren't here today. We shouldn't have to be here today. But that was the choice that was made, and we're left with but no choice to hold him in contempt. He violated the subpoena. So I yield back to the gentleman from North Carolina.
Gentleman, yield.
Certainly.
I just would hope that Ms. Maloney her name came up, and I think she was just trying to take a minute to explain what she was trying to do, and I would just ask that she be allowed to do that.
Well,
I admonished the member. I
reclaiming my time.
Remember that he was not supposed to.
Well, reclaiming my time, I didn't mention anybody's name. I mentioned the gentlewoman from New York, and specifically as it relates, the ranking member will know full well that this is something that is very personal to me because I came to his defense when someone on my side attacked him. And so it is important that we have debate. It is important that we do that without personalities involved. And we must rise to the occasion to have differences without making personal attacks. And I'll yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman yields back. Does any other member No. I want to give members each an opportunity to, if they have if they'd like to speak on the ANS. Does any other member wish to speak on the ANS?